Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking NFL free agency. People have started to announce where they're signing. Signings are going to start tomorrow, but this is the only sports going on in the world now, Jeff. Thank God for NFL free agency. I don't know what we'd be doing right now. But this is, right? I mean, without this, I really don't know what we would be talking about, what people would be doing. But we definitely have some stuff to talk about on this one. So, let's jump into it. And, we're going to try to talk about the most fantasy relevant stuff. The first one, I think, but no matter what, I think you got to start with Tom Brady. It's not maybe the most fantasy relevant move that happened. It's there, though. But you have to talk about Tom Brady first. And the fact that he's leaving New England, he's going to be signing with Tampa. It'll be official on Wednesday, it looks like, which I did not see that one coming. I'll say that. I honestly thought the whole time, I thought, he's going to do this and he's going to go back to New England. So I was wrong. Man, this is an interesting spot, though. He has better receivers than has he ever had two receivers this good with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and then maybe he can turn O.J. Howard into something. Man, this is, I think, a good spot for Brady. This is, he has some good people to throw the ball to.
He definitely does. I have mixed feelings on this one, right? Because I think if you're going to land somewhere, this was definitely one of the top spots to land. I'm not really sure how I feel about the organization, as a whole. Can the addition of Tom Brady really put him over the top? I'm kind of undersold on that, but they do have a good defense, no doubt about it, especially against the run. They can hopefully beef up against the pass. They do have a myriad of weapons for Tom Brady, like you were talking about. So that'll be fun to see if he can kind of get maybe a little more of Tom Brady of old, at least stretching the field. The thing I don't necessarily like about this move is up to him what he wants to do. I don't think it's a bad move, but I just like the fit in LA so much more. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I feel like, especially at his age, obviously the Chargers have a good defense as well. Statistically better than Tampa Bay, even though I think that is harder to compare because of, the offense and where they put that defense, what positions they put them into, because, Jameis threw a lot of interceptions. So it's kind of hard to, apples to apples on that. But if you're going to look at the weapons on the offensive side of the ball alone, just for the Chargers, I think that a Keenan Allen, who can get a ton of receptions, he's very good at getting open. You have Eckler, who can catch it out of the backfield, which we've seen Tom Brady do very, very well with, White in New England. And then you also have a big tight end, which O.J. Howard is definitely a big tight end, right? He could become something like you said, but Hunter Henry, he's also that type of guy. And I feel like we've seen him flash a little more than O.J. Howard. Maybe I'm being a little biased just because, Howard disappointed me a little bit last year after getting so behind him. And then you also have Mike Williams, who could be that guy to stretch the field. So I thought that with Tom Brady's, I won't say lack of arm, but he's getting older. His, throwing down the field, maybe it was just with the team he had, but it definitely didn't look nearly as good as what we've seen years prior. So I felt like maybe that was a better position for him to be in, where he could win with that team right away, where I feel like he's going to have to stretch what he's capable of in order to make, Mike Evans and Godwin and all these other very dynamic players work for him. So I guess that's my worry. For you, where does this put him in the scheme of ranking quarterbacks?
He's probably still closer to 20, if anything. Probably around 20 yet. It's hard to say because he didn't look like the same Tom Brady last year. That's for sure. And is that just because of the receivers he had? Maybe. Was that going to? I don't know whether this is the weirdest thing because I don't know if Tom Brady's just going to be it's going to be boost to him. Evans and Godwin will be similar, or if I'm kind of worried about Evans and Godwin. Like you said, can Brady throw the ball downfield? Like, can he throw it like Jameis did? Jameis would just throw that ball just up for grabs with Evans and Godwin, and it turned into, a pretty good thing for most of those guys most of the time. this is going to be different. It's a tough one. 43 years old. Brady's going to be 43 when the season starts. I mean, we've never seen a quarterback play at that level, at that age. It's just unprecedented situation and age, and player leaving a team at 43. I don't know. It's really going to be, I can't get Brady on my team. He's going to be definitely undrafted for me.
Okay.
Say that. Yeah.
I agree with that. This is what I'm very interested in. This is what I was going to ask you as well, is because what does this do as far as Evans and Godwin once again, it's hard to tell who is where at the moment as far as rankings and where, but I know that Godwin was close to, he was a top 5 guy. Evans was close to a top 5 guy in rankings. I think they're both in the top 10. But to be fair, I do think they'll win more games, right? But like you said, Winston is chucking that thing. Yep. He also put up 5,000 yards, 5,000 plus, 33 touchdowns. Yep. He threw a lot more interceptions, but it actually boosted these wide receivers' production. So if you go to a Tom Brady who last year, at 42, threw for 4,000 yards, which is still healthy, but 1,000 less yards or whatever, 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, you will win more games because you will make a lot of smart plays. You will, control the ball better. You won't have as many turnovers, all that good stuff. But you're missing out on 9 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Who is that going to come back on? And you have to believe, hopefully the run game will be better as well. But is that going to hurt Evans? Is that going to hurt Godwin? Is that going to hurt both of them? It's got to come back somewhere.
And with Evans and Godwin, I don't think it's going to, I'm not going to try to overreact because honestly, like we're saying, it's hard to know what this is, but they might drop 1 or 2 spots each in my ranks. They honestly might, just because it's more of an unknown, and the unknown makes me a little more worried. So I think I will drop them slightly. I can see Evans can adapt, I think, just as a big target for Brady. And that one, I think Evans will be in a good spot. Godwin, I think he's going to be fine, but it's not quite the same. It's going to, man, I can't wait to see it, but it's interesting right now. But how about, I was talking about this. They're obviously all in on winning now, right? Which makes this weird because you didn't consider the Bucs a team that can just go and win right away. But they have to be there now. They have to be trying for that. Why don't they go sign Melvin Gordon and sign Antonio Brown? And there we go. Then that can be an offense for you.
Yeah, well, I kind of agree. Well, I think that'd be amazing. But I also think Antonio Brown, who needs a headache. But
hey, maybe
Gordon. Honestly, I'd be down for that. I think that would be a good pickup. Also, I think if they don't, they'll probably draft one.
They'll draft one. So they'll be. This could be for offensively. This will be Brady's best offense he's had in many years, I believe. Yeah.
Well, also here's my thing too, because you want to be able to, and I'm completely going. Tom Brady's only played for one team, right? And what he was able to do there doesn't mean that's what they want to do with him, but it's all I can think about because it's what I've seen for the past 20 years or whatever it may be. So I keep looking at who they have at running back, and even if they did sign Gordon, I'm like, is he capable of catching the ball? Yeah, but is that his forte? No. So I keep looking for a running back out there that they can go and get, and I keep thinking it's going to be in the draft, but that they can go and get that can be that secondary guy that can just catch and soak up a lot of balls. And that's what I kept looking at Eckler, and I'm like, man, if they sign Tom Brady, I will eat my words on Eckler because I said he was going to drop. Yeah. But they didn't, so I don't have to. But that would have been a match made in heaven.
Yep. So that's and be interesting to see what happens to Melvin Gordon here. That'll be somebody we'll hopefully talk about next week. He has nothing. Bucs, man, that'd be an awesome fit right there. I'd love to see that.
That would be
all right. Cool. Other than Brady, I guess really the biggest move was definitely the DeAndre Hopkins, David Johnson trade, which just seemed to come out of nowhere. Earlier in the day yesterday, I heard some news headline, saw some news headline about them possibly shopping DeAndre Hopkins, and that came out of nowhere. Didn't know why. And then he's traded, and Hopkins to the Cardinals. David Johnson, that's not a fair trade. That's just something went on there with Hopkins. They didn't even get a first round pick for him. And they just get David Johnson, which running back's just replaceable at this point. Without David Johnson, I don't think David Johnson has much left in him, honestly. that sold on that. But DeAndre Hopkins, Arizona, man, the Kyler Murray hype train is going to just get way out there now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we were, it's one of those things where we were excited and we're like throwing out stats and we're like, yeah, actually, he was, he was kind of overlooked at the end there. You can play him. He's going to be a really good player next year. We really like him. And then, we see him rise, and we're like, well, he's not really, he's not really a deal anymore. and then it hits even a little further. And then we're like, man, it's pretty, that is a large cost. Now it's going to be, where in the top 5 should he go?
Right.
Is he a top 3 guy after? And that might get there. It might get to the point where, actually, I think that is what you will see a lot. It will go Pat Mahomes, it will go Jackson, and then people will put Kyler Murray because Deshaun Watson lost his number 1 target, right? So he's going to start falling. And after that, it was kind of a throw your hands up in the air anyway. Cam Newton, like some of the usual people are all in flux. So you don't really know. Why not Kyler? So you're going to start seeing him just picked at a place that I cannot swallow, even though I love everything about him. I love his weapons, but I think you're right. You're about to see much like toilet paper, a panic for this guy.
Pretty much. I mean, with Hopkins, on Hopkins' side of things, I think he's going to be just the same Hopkins. I think it's good I think it should be a good fit for him.
Well, actually, that's a good question because the only thing I have seen is, the worry that maybe he doesn't get as many targets because, they have more of a spread offense kind of deal.
It might not be quite as many targets, but I think the production's still going to be up there. I think he's going to be fine. He's a great receiver.
I agree with you 100% too. And I don't get me wrong, I love Deshaun Watson. I think he is one heck of a quarterback. I really like him. But I think him and Kyler, not maybe, where they're at in terms of being a pure quarterback yet, but I think Kyler, has a lot of the same throwing capability that he does. So I'm not that worried that it will completely fall off.
No, me either. I think he'll be in good shape there. And I guess what it really, though, this is going to hurt Deshaun Watson, like you said. Who's he throwing the ball there to? I mean, can Will Fuller stay healthy? If Will Fuller could stay healthy, this would be awesome for him, being a number 1, you would think.
Well, they also get a second-round pick, right?
Yep.
So my guess is they're going to use it to grab maybe not, but I would think that they're going to grab one of these wide receivers because there's a lot of them out here.
Yep.
And try to replace him that way. I have to think it was more of a money thing where they just were like, he's going to be too expensive. We have to pay all these other people. I don't know, but that's my guess is like you get a primetime, and in their head, you get a primetime running back that you can throw to that might change up the dynamic of the offense if he can return to.
I don't know if he can.
80% of what he used to be would be really, really good. But yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I'm pulling for the guy, but he just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it was the offense. Maybe it was a lot of things, but he definitely did not give signs that he is back to his old form.
No, he really didn't. I'm not really expecting much from him. He's going to be. I'm not going to expect much.
Well, here's a question. Hyde was a serviceable guy. Is he still worth drafting or no? Or I guess whoever his backup becomes.
Yeah.
Are you looking at them? Is that how much you don't believe in?
It depends on who it is, I guess. But yeah, I really don't believe in David Johnson. I'm picturing one run in my mind. I remember watching a game this past season, and I can't remember what game it was. It was where he was still playing yet before he really lost the job to Kenny Drake. And man, did he seem slow. It was like, whoa, what happened to David Johnson? And I can't get that image out of my head. And it's just, I feel like that was him. He just lost it. It's gone. That's just way I felt. And maybe that was injury. We'll see. But if it's burned into my mind that guy couldn't do anything anymore. And so I have no confidence whatsoever. We'll have to see. I have to see him in preseason. Need to see something from him to think he can still play. And it's not there yet. But and the Houston they signed Randall Cobb there. They replaced Hopkins with Randall Cobb. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I don't feel a whole lot of anything.
Exactly. All right. I'm just going to some of the big names here that some have re-signed. And, AJ Green was franchise tagged, so hopefully Joe Burrow will be throwing the ball to him. Phillip Rivers is going to sign with the Colts. That's a interesting move.
I feel like that is a strange one, right? Do you even? And I love some Rivers as well. But is he that much of an improvement over Brissett? And
doesn't feel like it at this point.
Yeah.
But
Do you give him, a younger quarterback, the ability to maybe take the next step? I mean, I don't know what that move does for your franchise, to be honest.
No, I think that just shows that they don't think Brissett can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So
yeah, I mean I feel like it only hurts. No, man.
Yeah, it's an odd one, but I mean, Rivers might still have something left in him. We'll have to see. Mari Cooper re-signed with Dallas, big deal, 5 years, $100 million. I mean, it pays to be a receiver in the NFL, not a running back.
No kidding.
Yeah, it just doesn't work out for these running backs or these receivers get these deals. Like Todd Gurley seems to be on the trading block now.
Yeah.
After we'll maybe have some news on that one next week to actually talk about. Let's see, Jameis. Jameis is interesting. What the heck's gonna happen with Jameis now?
I don't know. I truly don't know.
Who's New England get?
Well, that's what my thing is. It does feel like the perfect situation that Belichick would get Jameis and, take the year to like mold him, because he does have skill. There's no doubt about it. He just throws so many. He makes a lot of bad decisions and throws so many interceptions that maybe a change of scenery is just absolutely what he needed. And honestly, it would be New England who would get a former number 1 overall pick or something and turn him into a winner. And then they win with him, and then Belichick can like laugh at everyone that thought, it was all Tom Brady or whatever. I don't know. I feel like this season is setting up for a lot of like grudge matches and the more of like the spotlight on me. I did this on my own. I feel like a lot of that is going on.
I've heard jokingly maybe, and some truth possibly behind it is put Andy Dalton there on the Patriots and see if Belichick can win with Andy Dalton.
I actually could. I could totally get behind that. I feel like Dalton in the right scheme would be fine.
It's not the worst one in the world, is it?
No. I feel like it's almost like a Tannehill situation where if you put him in the right position, he can be successful. I'm not saying he's the greatest quarterback, but he's not bad.
Then Teddy Bridgewater signs with the Panthers.
Okay, you're going to have to explain this one to me. What is your thoughts on this one? Because
this is weird.
Kind of baffled on this one.
So I am too. I mean, it's either they know something more about Cam Newton and injuries, possibly, or the franchise is just done with Cam Newton and they don't want to deal with him for some reason. I can't see. I mean, from what Cam Newton said today is he didn't ask for the trade. He didn't ask to be traded, but Panthers just gave him permission to seek a trade. Like they just done. They were done with him, and it felt really odd. Is Bridgewater that much of an upgrade? Bridgewater is an interesting one to me because I've never been the biggest Teddy Bridgewater fan, even with the Vikings back before his injury. I never really. I thought he was a good, solid quarterback, but I didn't really think he's not what Cam Newton was. At least maybe Cam Newton's just not that guy anymore, but I don't think he's that. It's interesting though because what's this going to do for McCaffrey and DJ Moore? Is it? I mean, I guess they really didn't play with Newton last year, so I guess this is an upgrade over Kyle Allen.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for McCaffrey. It probably helps everyone a little bit.
So, and I guess McCaffrey doesn't hurt him, and there's not a quarterback that's just going to take away a lot from him. So, yeah, I think this will be it's going to be okay for McCaffrey, but it's odd to get rid of Cam Newton there.
The funny part too is like we keep talking about all these quarterbacks that have a lot of potential, and Cam Newton, first of all, he was MVP a handful of years ago, right? I mean, put together a crazy, ridiculous season. Obviously, a lot of that was running, and we always question how long you can do that for. But he's another one that I'm thinking if Belichick gets his hands on him, why couldn't you mold him into what that team needs at the moment? I don't know. I think he's a very interesting player. If I didn't have a top, 15 quarterback or whatever, I'd be very, very interested in Cam Newton still, unless I don't know something that they do, I guess.
All right, let's see here. We got some other players. Let's see who's signing where. Austin Hooper signed a 4-year deal with the Browns. So that ends the David Njoku experiment there.
That one might have been, in a weird way, that might have blown my mind more than anything else. First of all, he's going to be the most highly paid tight end, I believe, from that deal. And also the fact that I know that Njoku was hurt, but I still thought he was in the good graces of Cleveland. So I guess I was blindsided by this one personally.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see him going. I didn't see this Hooper going to Cleveland at all. But yeah, I mean, I guess I won't be hyping David Njoku this year for the first time. I guess I can officially say that's over. But Hooper, I mean, they're really going to keep trying here to do something with that offense. And I mean, adding him to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry should be good with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. This offense should be good. But will they actually be good? We thought the same thing last year, and it just didn't happen. And I don't know. I'm gonna buy in a little bit more. Yeah, I think there's still, I guess, something there with Baker. I don't think Baker is maybe as bad. He won't be as disappointing, I feel like, this year. I feel like he still can be a good player. So hopefully we can I guess see something from him. But
yeah, I mean, I do too. I guess my question would be, I don't know. I mean, Hooper was coming off a very good year too. So, I mean, does this actually, he signs a big contract, but does this actually hurt his fantasy value?
I don't think it's going to increase it. But I see this a lot, actually. These tight ends, they sign these kind of deals and they really don't do much, I feel like. I don't think he's going to go up anything. Last year, I think, is going to be some of the best he plays. But, he'll be fine. There's going to be, if Odell, though, jumps up and Jarvis is still there, it's going to be hard. There's still so many people to throw the ball to. He can't go too crazy.
Yeah, I feel like everyone, I mean, besides for maybe Baker, but I feel like everyone loses in this deal. I mean, he's a good player. I understand why Cleveland would want to do it, but fantasy-wise, I don't think it helps anyone.
No, not really. But, I mean, he's still going to be a top 10 tight end in the league. That's, he's still there. He's still going to be a solid player. But, all right. Do we have anybody else, or is that am I missing somebody? But out of the fantasy relevant players here, who am I missing?
Right. There's a few. They're not necessarily huge ones. But first of all, Devontae Freeman.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's cut.
Which is interesting. I mean, the fact that you don't believe in a guy that much. I mean, who else do you have on that team, really? So that's just interesting. I don't know if that just means he's done or what. Yeah,
I don't know who their running back's going to be. I'm not really sure how that's going to play out. And no one else really stepped up that I think could really play. So they're going to have to bring somebody in. I don't know who that is yet.
And then I was going to say, and then the other one, which I think is a very, very interesting one, and it leads me to think this might be my pick for the tight end, kind of the dark horse in the situation. But Hayden Hurst, after Atlanta gets rid of, or obviously doesn't get rid of, but they lose out on Hooper, they go on trade for Hayden Hurst, who obviously, Mark Andrews over, he was the one that came out of that, and Hayden Hurst was drafted in the first round, I believe, 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
To Baltimore. So he wasn't cutting it. He wasn't worth the number one. So they trade him, and he kind of steps right into the number one role now that Hooper is gone. And you haven't seen a lot from Hayden Hurst because he was hurt, and obviously he wasn't the number one tight end there anymore because of Mark Andrews. But I do still believe that he has a lot of good tight end ability, and I think he is one of those. Even though he was a little older when he got drafted, I think that he needed a couple years to develop into an NFL type tight end. I think Atlanta might be getting a steal here. I think it just might be good timing where one team has to get rid of someone who's kind of run their course, and now you can scoop him up when he's about to kind of go on the run for development and into his prime. So I really like Hayden Hurst here. I don't have a lot to back it up, but I like it.
I actually do too. For some reason, I thought that was I saw his name getting traded like that. It's not like he got traded because he wasn't doing anything. It's Mark Andrews just emerged that much where they didn't need Hayden Hurst and somebody offered him something. So I thought that was I think he's going to be an interesting one this upcoming year. I mean, other than that, there's not a lot out there, I guess. I mean, Tannehill and Derrick Henry are going back to the Titans. The Titans franchise Derrick Henry. Who would have thought Ryan Tannehill would get the contract he just got a year ago? Yeah, can you imagine saying
what did he get? I don't even know yet.
4 years, $118 million.
Really? Good
Yeah.
for him, man. That's a feel-good story right there.
Never would have seen that coming. But
No, from talking about just being down and out to making the best of your situation to, being respected again. I do have to one more that we kind of glossed over, but I do want to know your thoughts because you know how I'm never too high on the Bills offense. But
that's right.
Stephon Diggs,
Forgot
he
about
goes
this
to
one.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because first of all, you're a Diggs fan.
I
You're a
am.
Josh Allen fan. I feel like, but are they cohesive together?
I don't know, but I think I like it. I think this is going to work for some reason. I don't know why. I just kind of I've always liked Josh Allen, and he's going to throw the ball around if he can. And I think Diggs is going to benefit. I think this is going to work out. I don't know what happened with Diggs and Vikings. They just really had a falling out last year. And this should be a good change of scenery for him. And I don't know. I like this Bills team. I think I really think they're going to be solid. And this trade right here shows what the heck, what were the Texans doing when Vikings get a first round pick for Diggs and the Texans get a second round for Hopkins? Because I don't consider David Johnson anything. So, I mean, it's a good trade. I think it worked out for the Vikings. You get a player that it's not working out anymore. You get a first rounder for him. I think that's great. But I think this is going to work out for the Bills. I like Diggs. It probably doesn't though change his ranking very much for me. You know what I mean? He's still going to be in my 10 to 15 range. This isn't going to change that very much.
I don't. It does scare me. I mean, he definitely won't be. I mean, maybe he gets up to 15. I would really have to look at the list, but I think he's more of a 15 to 20, even 15 to 25 for me because I think it scares me a little too much.
I'm just always slightly higher on him, I think, and probably stay that way. I guess the other deal we didn't talk about, Jimmy Graham signed with the Bears for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, once again, good for. I don't think that does absolutely nothing for him or me, but he's been kind of a non-factor the last few years. I just happen to like him. Yeah, so I'm just glad that he's still out there playing.
The other small deals: Jordan Howard signed a 2-year deal with the Dolphins. I'm not sure what to think there. I don't really expect much, but the Dolphins really don't have anybody. So is this who they plan on using? I feel
like that's the end of the line for. It's kind of like good enough to play her for a couple more years, get your money.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure how what that's gonna go. Like Jason Witten signed with the Raiders. That's an odd one.
I mean, who doesn't like Jason Witten? I feel like this one is like, man, I know you must hate commentating that much because
right. And I was going to play for the Raiders, so that's pretty much the deals that I have seen. I don't know if I'm missing much here. That's pretty much it for the deals. It looks like. We'll have more to talk about next week because Melvin Gordon still has to go somewhere. The Patriots need a quarterback. We'll see some other guys on the list here. Robbie Anderson's out there. Maybe he'll sign somewhere. He could be an interesting one depending on if he signs back with the Jets or if he goes somewhere else. There's some interesting. Emmanuel Sanders is out there yet, so there's some interesting players that could have some fantasy relevance. But I think mainly where Melvin Gordon goes and who the Patriots quarterback is and what happens with Cam Newton. Those are the stories that hopefully we get answers on here soon. There could be, Cam Newton to the Patriots, and I think that could work. I mean, they might actually upgrade at quarterback if they get Cam Newton.
Oh, fighting words, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of there with you in a weird way. I still have high hopes for Cam. If he's physically there, he is one heck of a weapon. Still, he's still got a lot left.
But all right, I think that'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week. We'll have a lot more free agency talk as a lot more happens this week. Talk to you guys then.